All right, so today what we're doing is going through just a little background on spectral emissions, and we're also going to talk about our Spectral Emissions Lab. So we're going to spend a lot of time discussing why spectral emissions occur and what they tell us about atoms, and more specifically about electrons within atoms. So the title of today's lab will be Spectral Emissions, Background, Materials, and Methods. Okay. So that's our Spectral Emissions Lab. So, when electrons become excited, they jump to higher energy levels. And we showed this in our last lecture with our atomic structure diagrams, okay? We showed a little electron in like the first energy shell jumping up to the third energy shell and then later on falling back down into the second energy shell from the third energy shell. So that's in that lecture's video if you want to go back and see what that looks like, okay? So when electrons become excited, they jump to higher energy levels. Here's what's really important. These energy levels are discrete. Okay? That means they are specific. Specific, like not just any, well, that's not the right way to say it, but so like they're specific, so not, so a better way to say it is they're discrete, so only specific energies are allowed or possible. Okay, possible is a better word. So these energy levels are discrete and only specific energy levels are allowed or possible, okay? So the electrons can't jump to any old energy. They can only go to certain energies. And what this demonstrates, so what this means is, okay, that when electrons relax, that means release their excitation energy, okay? They only emit, okay? And emit means to release, okay? Emit means to release or give off, okay? Certain or specific energies of light, okay? So you can think of that as specific colors. So the different energies of light correspond within the visible spectrum to colors, okay? Colors. In physics, you'll learn that those colors correspond to particular frequencies of light and wavelengths, okay? Frequency and wavelength are related. So, when electrons relax, release their excitation energy, they only emit specific energies of light. Okay, so what all of this demonstrates, right? So what this last piece demonstrates, okay, that this is true, all right? So because we only are going to see certain colors of light when we do our experiment, we will know that electrons only exist at very specific energy levels. They can't exist on a continuum of energies. They exist on specific energy levels, okay? And a good analogy is this one, right? So you've got staircase, and you've got a ramp, okay? Energetically, electrons exist on a type of energetic staircase. You can be on the first step, or the second step, or the third step, or even the fourth step. Can you be on like the 1.5 step? I need to hear from everybody. Can you be on like the 1.5 step? No, right? You can be on the first step or the second step, right? So on a staircase, right, you can't just be at any old height, okay? The stairs have specific heights. A ramp is different. You can have any old height on a ramp, okay? And so what you'll find is that spectral emissions.
Dr. J.
Yes.
Can I use the notes?
Oh yes, it's an open note quiz. Absolutely,
Okay.
Mr. Jones. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, you can.
Yep. So spectral emissions exist figuratively on a staircase, right? What's extremely interesting is that sunlight exists on a continuous spectrum, okay? And we will use a really cool instrument called an optical diffractometer to see all of this, all right? So go ahead and get everything copied down. I'm going to grab some instruments from the back, and then I'll come to the front of the room and erase the board, okay? Alright, so this is an optical diffractometer, and I'll show you a video in a minute that will explain to you how to use this during our lab procedure. This little guy is called a cathode ray tube, and what's really interesting is that electricity is going to get conducted through this tube without a continuous wire of metal, okay? There's not a metal wire that runs through here. Instead, there are two little springs on either side, okay, an anode and a cathode. And what they're going to do is, they're going to basically shoot electrons from one side to the other. When those electrons get shot through, the gas inside of here is going to get really excited. This is full of neon gas. And it's going to start to emit, light. The optical diffractometer will separate that light into different wavelengths. And those wavelengths will correspond to the energies of relaxation, okay, of excited electrons, right? And they will help us see very clearly that electrons exist at discrete energy levels. That's what we're going to see when we point our optical diffractometer at the neon cathode ray tube. Conversely, when we point our optical diffractometer at sunlight, you're going to see a good old-fashioned rainbow, okay? So you're going to see a continuous spectrum of visible light, just a pretty rainbow, all right? That's what you're going to see. This is going to look like a bunch of individual lines. So what exactly are we going to do, and how are we going to record our data? All right. So here we go. So materials and methods. Optical diffractometer. And we got cathode ray tubes that are filled with neon, hydrogen gas, helium, and the last one is argon gas, okay? So, and argon, all right, that's a little and symbol. And the last thing that we have is something called a gas discharge lamp. That's what the lamp itself is called, okay? And then our methods are going to be one, place each tube into the lamp, right? 2 for each tube. Record the emission spectrum. Shown in the optical diffractometer. Okay, so you're going to need a table that goes like this. So gas, okay, and then you're going to go wavelengths observed. So you're going to have helium, neon, hydrogen, and argon. And the way this guy works, you're going to see values that look like basically between 3.5 and 780. But you're going to record them, or sorry, 7.8, 3.5 and 7.8, but you're going to record them in nanometers, okay? So if what you see in your optical diffractometer is like 5.4, you're going to record 540, okay? Because that corresponds to the number of nanometers of the wavelength of the light. So what you need to know about that is every single color, and you don't have to write that down. I don't know if that's true there, so don't put that number in your table. But every color that you see corresponds to a specific wavelength of light, okay? And so light comes in the form of waves, and the distance from one peak to another is called the wavelength. And what you also can know is that nanometer means 10 to the negative 9th meters, okay? So that's 1 meter divided by a billion. So nanometers are billionths of meters, okay? So this is what we're going to go do. We have our table here. We're going to fill it in. You can put these little conceptual understandings into your notes. We're going to have lots of fun.